Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Carranza from Xavier University in New Orleans. I was going to say Xavier University of Louisiana.
Got it.
That's hard to put together. University
Yeah,
of Louisiana. Yeah, but love me some New Orleans. I think I know I have to be there in February, but I'm trying to get there in October. So if I do, then I'll have to see if you guys are playing a game. Um, Happy to have you. You're kicking off the season, and the crazy thing is, most people may not know this is only the second season of the program, right?
that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
but
Thanks for having me. Yeah, absolutely. We'll chat some more about Xavier.
yeah, and I mean, you guys had a rock star first season, and you're kicking off the second one. So, recruiting, obviously, for a first year program last year, you I noticed you have a good number of junior college players, which makes a lot of sense, and some transfers and whatnot. Walk me through kind of right now. Where are you at with the 25s? Are you talking to 26s yet? Kind of what's your mindset and how you're kind of filling out this roster for the next couple of years?
Yeah, when starting the program from zero, I felt like it wouldn't be smart to recruit 30 freshmen. Needed some experience, some leadership, and I also took advantage of myself previously being at the junior college level. So I was able to see in person, obviously, my guys that I did bring a couple at from my previous institution, but also I was able to see some top players in person when playing against and all that good stuff. Especially taking advantage of the national tournament run that we made. So I was able to see a bunch there, and lucky enough to bring and convince those guys to buy in on a first year program. So brought in a very good mix of freshman, sophomore, junior. And only now we are having seniors, and it's actually only three of them. Um, when starting something from scratch as well, I was very focused on that first class of 23. And then as soon as I got a good feel for what 23 was, based on previous experiences, I was then able to look into 24s. Right now, I think we're right now hitting that. Okay, I know what we will need for 25. So now, just now, very briefly, very surface looking for 25s. Definitely no 26s yet.
Okay. So with that being said, how much time would you say in a given week right now? It's obviously you're in the season, that's
Mhm.
your focus. So what maybe is the percentage of your time that you're focused on recruiting in a given week?
I'll do this. I'll give you this example. This week, I have received two players, and I have not engaged conversation with them. The only thing that I did was I like your profile. I trust the person that has sent you to me. I'm gonna leave you in this wait list. Once we're closer to the end of the season, we'll start conversation. So I'll be gathering these initial names from previous contacts, and then once we hit that November, then we're on it, and
Okay.
then we're really going ourselves out there, either in person or virtually, looking for players to start that 25. So very much focused on the fall season. We're in season. I think towards the end and the spring, we're hands on recruiting, and we try to be finalized. There's always that late player, but we try to be finalized by May.
Yeah. Well, and when you look at your current roster, some heavy South American influence there, we'll say. Um, so obviously you guys are looking international and domestic and you mentioned going to events. So what are some of those domestic events
Yeah.
that are on your list that you want to make sure you get to?
I feel like convincing the local kid to buy into a first year program, now second year program, is a little bit harder than maybe convincing the international kid. The international kid, as of right now, seems to just want an opportunity, and the domestic kid seems to need to be convinced. So, with that being said, massively interested now in this third year, expanding even more locally and domestically in America, because now we can prove that we are competitive, and that's what these kids want, right? Um, Remember also for the domestic kids, we're not just fighting against the NAIA schools, we're fighting against the top Division 1 programs, which is that's the caliber of player we want. So I've really much have focused locally. We have several partnerships locally. We have an MLS Next team in town. I'm lucky enough to be involved with them on a coaching staff level as well. Right now, we have managed since starting the program having 3 of their local products. This not to mention Louisiana Fire, which is also a local club here in town. If I'm not mistaken, the biggest one here. We actually have partnership with Field because of them. So a lot of our program growth, not only just player wise, but infrastructure wise, when starting something from zero, has come from the surrounding areas. I'm not gonna name too many because there's a lot more that we owe credit to. But then I've been to Florida. It's not that far away from here. We actually have a kid from Florida. We are in Mississippi all the time. I actually have 2 kids from Mississippi here. I have been to Houston. I have been to Atlanta. So kind of the surrounding states of Louisiana, but that doesn't limit us only to that. I have a kid that actually his parents came to school here, and he is from North Carolina. So we try to branch out everywhere at the same time that we right now felt like the best strategy was to go internationally, get us up there to where we need, and then people will start believing us here locally.
Okay. No, I like the strategy. Well, do you guys do ID camps or do you or your staff work other ID camps? Are they a part of your process?
Yeah. So we have ran since we've gotten here 4 local ID camps. We still haven't thrown out a fall date, but we will. What we try to do is every semester we at least have 2. So every since I've been here, every semester we've at least have 2. We try to do it in different times of the year to try to meet different schedules as well.
Yeah. Well, whether it's at an ID camp or any of these events you attend, or even if it's via Zoom through an international player, what is it that you're looking for in a player? What is it that makes somebody recruitable for Xavier, whether it's on the field attributes or off the field stuff?
Man, Xavier is a different animal in comparison to most schools, if I'm really honest, when it comes to the recruiting side. Um, we're lucky enough to be quite prestigious when it comes to the academic side of things, which plays a good part, but also a hard part for us athletic people, right? You have to bring the right fit to Xavier. So first, I'll just kind of go down my list. I see someone in person, I know nothing about them, or I see a video, they have to be a good player. What's a good player for the Xavier, the Zula way we call, right? The men's soccer way of us playing is someone that has to be technically sound, tactically sound, physically sound, but we definitely won't overlook you due to size or athleticism. Your skill for us is more important when it comes to the sport related aspect of the game. After that, we recruit good players, but we need to make sure we recruit good people, not perfect people, but good people. What is that for me? Do you love the sport? Are you willing to be coachable? Um, are you going to give me 100%? And you are allowed to have your bad days. I think the biggest differential um, with our staff is that we try as much as possible to take care of the person before we even talk about the student or the athlete. So we understand that they're kids and they're going to be fiery moments, and we're willing to work with you. And where maybe elsewhere it's a little more cutthroat, if you will. So we're a little bit more patient. And then once we start getting to meet this person, hey, we like you as a player. We're having a conversation. We like you as a person. Then we go into what is your GPA? What's your SAT? What's your budget? We're not cheap as well. It's not for free. Xavier is an expensive school. Um, but we certainly find ways to make it affordable. But that would be kind of how it would go down the list.
Okay. Well, is there a roster size that you find is ideal that you're trying to hit each year?
One of the things that attracted me to Xavier was also some schools, and I don't think that there's a right or wrong way of doing it. Maybe in someone's eyes, it's not ideal here, but for us, um, we are not told, hey, you have to have 70 kids, 50 kids, which I probably wouldn't be here if that was the case. I don't think it's sustainable. I think there's people that do an excellent job with that bigger roster size. It's just not really something I would enjoy to do personally. I mean, it's just a matter of preference choice. For us here, I settle for 30, and I think that that's very doable. We initially started with 32, and then we had injury, and we had a personal option to not return, and we're now at 31.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school. I'm sure there's folks out there not familiar. They may be thinking of the big Xavier in Cincinnati and not the one down in Louisiana. So you've been there a couple seasons. Well, this is your second season, so obviously something drew you to the job besides getting to create it from start. So what have you found that's really excellent? What stands out at Xavier? Maybe some things we wouldn't even know by going through the website.
Yeah, no. When I was at my previous institution, I was at a small school, small town, and we still were able to create something special there. Um, with that, I felt like I was able to showcase myself a little bit more as a coach myself. So I was a little bit more picky than going to this next step. And Xavier checked a lot of the boxes. The first one you already mentioned, having the opportunity to start something from scratch for me was extremely unique. If it was bad, it was my fault, rather than maybe having to go in and fix someone else's mess, or even take a legacy on. Here it was blank canvas. What story will you write? So that was the main thing. But then after that, again, I was being a little more picky. I was in a small town, and I wanted to go back to a little bigger city living. And we're in the heart of New Orleans. We're 10 minutes away from everything that you could think that New Orleans has. So it's a cool social experience for the players that we bring in here. And so far, I'll be honest, some people think, heart of New Orleans, too much partying, too much trouble. I have had zero issues. Knock on the wood, but I have had zero issues with any of that. And we're actually in smaller towns. I feel like there's not much to do, so the kids end up getting in more trouble. So here it's almost like, oh, there's an NFL going on, NFL game going on. This time I won't go, but next week I will. Stuff like that. So we do encourage the kids to enjoy themselves socially as well. I think it's part of the process, but we obviously reinforce enjoy responsibly. Um, Third thing, man, academics here are something that I personally didn't have as an opportunity to be quote unquote prestigious as it is here. I tell the kids, look, there's a lot of good things from graduating from Xavier, but it's not the easiest job. Every day you're gonna wake up for that 8 a.m. and it's gonna be as hard as maybe practice is. Um, the infrastructure here at Xavier, we're an NAIA school, but man, you walk around here and you feel like you're at a top institution. I'd encourage the listeners to go maybe on the website and have a look at our buildings. Our pharmacy building is insane. You walk into the basketball court and it's like you're at a big Division 1 school. Like events from the city are being held there. And it's in the long term of our program to have our own complex here. So we have, the means for that. And that was another thing that attracted me to Xavier. Last thing, I told you guys that I mentioned a couple minutes ago that it's an expensive school, but you also have the funds. We have the funds to bring the correct people to join our program. So all of that kind of put together made Xavier attractive to me, and I was lucky enough that I got selected.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, let's fast forward a minute to let's say October, heart of that Red River Conference season, tough conference to play in. What does a typical week look like for a player in terms of schedule with practice, classes, game cadence, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we let's do this. Monday we do weights, sponsored by Oshner, biggest health company. I don't think is the word, but line of healthcare here in New Orleans. And we have Matt that runs our training sessions. He's unreal. Everything is sport specific, something that we're really lucky to have. As soon as we're done with the weights, we head straight to the field, again in partnership with LA Fire, which is a soccer club here in town. We practice on a FIFA standard brand new turf field at Lafreniere Park. which is a beautiful park that has around 10 fields, if I'm not mistaken. Two of those are turf fields that have lights. And as soon as we're done with that, and drop them off. We have partnerships here at Xavier and where the kids can live in different spaces. So we have on campus housing, but this year our kids are actually living at UNO, which is a Division I school here in New Orleans. So we drop them off there. They have their own time. That would kind of repeat itself some days without the weight room before practice to manage legs. And then if we have game days, again, they're at that place that I just said. But when we're on the road and we have quite a bit of traveling in the Red River, because we have not only Louisiana schools, we have Texas schools, we actually have a big trip to New Mexico. We travel really comfortably, though, through Hotard. The buses are unreal for us as well, so it's not like we get there and we're all cramped up. And and then it just becomes that process of recovery, training, games at the same time that the students have to have A's in their classes at the same time that some of them work on campus because we do have that availability here, and then they have to be kids as well and enjoy the social life. So we try to bunch all that good stuff and make it fun.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the team. Besides your roster of players, you got your roster of staff. Talk to me about the staff you have, what roles they play, maybe what support staff that is in the athletic department that help out as well.
Yeah, so I mentioned our strength and conditioning, but we also sponsored by Oshner have Caitlin Welsh. She's the head of our men's soccer program, overseen by Rebecca, and I don't want to butcher her last name, but they're a big help behind the scenes. But my right hand man is Lucas Cordero. He's been with me since 2017. He's a big piece of the success of our program. When I'm not there, the boys know that he is the same as me being there. We kind of grew together in the coaching world, and I'm lucky enough to have him here as my full time assistant. This year, I just hired a specific goalkeeper coach, Michael White. He was working at other universities. Now he is our GA here. And then outside of that, trying to see if I'm not missing anybody. We work really closely with the women's program, which Matt, I'd encourage you to invite Ashley Cordero on here as well. We're always sharing field activities, trips. Ashley's assistant is Justin, and he at times also gives us a hand with the goalkeepers or any logistics that we need. So more than enough help. Makes my life easier for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, how about you as the head man? Talk to us about your coaching style. What kind of style of play you're looking to play there?
Yeah. I kind of strive to be the coach that um maybe I didn't have. And what do I mean by that? I think in a like I used a term before in a cutthroat culture of business, win, results. I have a really human first approach. Um, don't confuse that by me being perfect and never having to go at the guys. They know how passionate I am, and it can get quite intense. But I think that what I tell them is maybe you won't remember me as a good coach, but I want you to remember me as a good person. So I really try to take care of, hey, rather than are you healthy to practice today? Is it are you okay mentally to go practice today? So I think I try to make the person first, but then I'm absolutely a nerd for the soccer side of things. We never go to the field without a purpose. Our practices, our games are exactly the same. It's a really possession, courage style of play, and where sometimes for some other people that are looking to our game, it's like, oh, man, what are they doing? It's a little risky. So we're very much building out of the back minded. And I know that people now, I think that this whole like possession build out of the back, it's getting overused. We do that with a purpose. Like we want to win games through this, and we feel like this is the easiest way of winning games. Um, at the same time that we're really energetic when we're defending and organized. So if I were to sum everything up, I feel like I am a human being first, but that is extremely passionate and works extremely hard on everything that he does every day as a coach. And the final product on the field, I want it to be a reflection of me and how I see life. So you'll see kids taking risks. You'll see kids never afraid to play. You'll see kids with the same passion that I have and working as hard as I do also behind the scenes.
I love that. Love that, coach. Well, this past spring was your first off season, getting the kids ready for this season. So what can a player expect during that spring non-traditional season?
We try. I try to go as much as possible, even though college still is not there with the rules and regulations and all that stuff. I try to keep it the same exact thing. We practice inside of those rules and regulations. Like I said, those limitations maybe that our league and the college game in general gives us. I try to run it the same exact way. And I actually told them before we left, I said, there's a lot of programs out there that made spring just about having fun, if you will, which we do have a bunch of fun as well. But we worked on things that this fall made the transition easier. Even if the players weren't here, the players that are returning, they make that transition easier for the new guys because they see them doing it. So we worked as much as we did in the fall. We worked in the spring.
Okay. Well, coach, I appreciate your time. Got one last question for you. That is, if you had one piece of advice or something you think every player going through this process should know, what would that be?
That's a good one. I help with a lot of the youth soccer here in America as well. But this piece of advice would go to anyone really. But usually, what I tell the youth players that I work here is that this whole college soccer thing, um, some people make it a scary monster, and where you got to be fit when you come in, or you have to have the grades, or stressful when looking to get recruited. Am I running out of time? Man, it was the best time of my life those 4 years. Um, I work as a college soccer coach today because I was inspired by the process and I was given opportunities through that process. So I'd just say enjoy it, man. I'd say enjoy the probably what would be the best time of your life, and don't make this a stressful situation. It's not scary monster at all. All of you that are interested and work hard enough and are passionate enough, all of you have a market in the college game. It might not be the best program football wise, but rather than focusing on that, focus on finding the right fit. But the main thing for me is enjoy it. It's a really fun time.
Couldn't agree more. Well, coach, really appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck in just your second season in that Red River, and hopefully at the end of it, you'll be hanging a banner.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Uh,
Matt. Thank you for
thank,
having us.
thank you.